Gene Hurt. The main thing I got today is over here on 6th Street and at Adams. Now, when Tyson gets here today, I want to have questions asked of him today. I got to. Because it's the most disgusting thing I have seen. I have a feeling that whether he had any involvement in this or not, I don't know. But I'm sure the city had main part of it. But what they did, they took that whistle out of that gum underneath 6th Street. Huge thing they put back in. And when they did it, they packed it all with the dirt and everything else all around there. For the neighbors that contacted me and said, "Did you see what they're doing, Jane?" I said, "Yeah, I saw it." And then to come back, and then they dig it out, part of it, and put this huge rock, boulder rock, inside that daggum park. And do you think they put any cones or any hazardous signs of to slow down when you hit that? Because people come through town 100 miles an hour hitting that. And somebody has hurt, their tires have been hurt. Okay, so I told them, I said, you gotta find out who's totally responsible for this. Because I see it. But now this morning, I noticed that now they've got some cones, but that's not good enough. There are people ticked, and I'm ticked, and I told them, I said I will address it to the county, and I will to the city tonight. This is uncalled for. This county should be doing things for their people to warn them of these situations, especially 6th Street going in and out of town. That is a main drag, and like I said, I had to speak on this today. I think it's wrong, but I want to know from him when he sits here, what involvement did you have? And I'm understanding from some of the guys that drove the trucks that there was. So I'm pretty ticked about it, and I think if somebody should say something, and that's why I'm doing it for the people that I represent as a committeeman for South Valley Brook. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Okay. Do you have anything in your pile that you need to do?
Just an emergency vehicle permit.
Okay,
I have 3 for Daryl Sinclair on different vehicles.
okay, we got a request for emergency vehicle repair permits from Daryl Sinclair. He's been a long time for 3 different vehicles.
Yeah, I know, Darryl. I move we approve those.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I put Garrett on the agenda for 10:30. He's coming in person.
Okay,
Thank you.
two places on each one of these.
Yep. while since that's been cleaned out.
Okay, like, two there.
Yeah. Make sure we got them all signed, there's a lot of them there.
Rhonda.
And if you're ready to approve the bills. I don't know if
Okay.
you're ready.
Did you look over the bills?
Yes, I did. I didn't see anything
I
I made a
move,
question about.
I move we pay the bills.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
There's that, Gilbert.
Okay.
Anything else in your file? You have any issues, Pat? That we need? Okay.
Days did we meet here, Rhonda, the 28th
28th, 31st.
and today?
I forgot to write the 28th down. Sorry.
Any updates from Sonny on anything?
Yes, he's got a couple companies ready to meet with a few of the offices, like Brett from the sheriff's department and some.
Right,
others.
okay.
Yeah.
So-
Now that the holidays are over, that'll probably
Right.
be scheduled.
So, next couple weeks probably.
Yeah. And I told you Garrett was coming, right?
Yes,
Okay.
You get your snow removed where you were at.
so does the insurance give you cleanup money for your old house or?
And now that we're settled, that's the next process.
The landfill's open.
You look like an ambulance chaser.
Well.
Yeah, my whole life in the landfill probably isn't very funny, but you know.
Make an attorney blush.
Yeah.
I'm actually working with a gentleman that's getting the estimate ready for me.
No,
It's not like I've forgotten it needs done, it's just. After the insurance company and I were done, it was kind of Christmas and that guy didn't get back to me
right. You have a full basement under it?
You own just 4 or 5 acres there?
Just 1.5.
Oh,
The rest of it's
septic field?
unilateral.
Who lives in what I call Bradshaw's? The old motel across the corner from you.
She was on our, economic development CARES Act.
Roxanne Wood.
Thank you, cause the name escapes me. They have the most beautiful dogs. Oh my goodness.
What kind?
Irish setter. Very pretty.
You got your new dog all trained? She minds well.
She's a great little snowplow. If you need snow moved, let me bring my little 4-pound dog over.
Will she sit in the stroller yet?
Well, that's up in smoke, so.
Oh, the stroller. That's too bad. Usually a puppy won't sit like them other dogs will.
Yeah.
Somebody's knocking.
Yeah.
That's a good thing you opened your eye over there.
Why?
Ready?
Come on up, yep. How are you today?
I'm fine, how are you guys?
Good.
Good. I talked to Jan Davis and she did accept she said she'd agree to serve on the planning
Oh,
board.
okay.
Good. You need a motion to that effect, or?
Probably.
Yes.
I move that we appoint Jan Davis to the vacant position on the zoning commission.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Effective immediately?
Yes,
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you. Waiting on Tyson, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
because David Atterbury was coming from Kansas City, so he couldn't do anything earlier than
Right.
what he's on.
Any reason to sit here for half an hour?
No,
I move we recess until 9:30.
until 9:30, okay. I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Way back.
Did we get a sheet too for paycheck?
Oh, yes, she laid him on my desk and I walked off without him.
Just curious. Thank you.
I didn't write one of the right ones.
Morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Good.
Good.
How many times do you have to salt the road?
Several.
Yeah.
Sleet, deal, and everything. Kinda tough to get off. And it just kept snowing. I think we worked 15 hours.
Well, oh, look, y'all did a good job. You beat the state out my way. By a long ways.
Ours too.
On timing and everything.
Well, it's never good, you never know exactly when to start hitting it.
Yeah.
I think we started out 5 o'clock there that, Friday morning on treating everything and plowing what we could. At that point, it hadn't hit too much to the north, and, but it soon got all the way across. And while we're on that, I have this blue sheet that I need to get approved, and it's for a past employee that come back to work
to help us on that snow and ice removal.
Yeah.
Same as what we done with Jason.
Okay. Okay, I move we approve Ron Reese,
Ron D. Reese.
Ron D. Reese. Okay. For Road and Bridge, effective 12/21. As a contractor?
Yeah.
No, just as part-time,
Temporary,
Part-
part-time.
temporary.
Oh, okay, however you want to do it.
Second,
All in favor?
Putting him on as permanent part-time, or are we just?
Is it kinda on call then?
On call.
For
Okay,
the
Yeah.
On call.
okay.
Right.
Is that a wage?
$24 an hour.
Is that what other guys are making?
That's what, Jason makes when he comes in, and that's time and a half. That's equal to time and a half.
So we don't get that to our current road and bridge guys if they wanna work it?
They would be end up getting about that same amount
Okay.
on overtime. And that's what that was.
But these guys aren't overtime if they're part-time.
Yeah. They're part-time, or whenever on call, which is probably depending on storms.
So all the road and bridge guys, there wasn't anybody available within the road and bridge department that wanted to work those hours?
If they're qualified to run the equipment, some of them aren't qualified, they don't even have a class CDL. And both of these do have.
Well, how many do you have with that license?
Oh, not enough. I'd say, a little over half.
Okay. My only question is, why are we paying part-time help time and a half if they're not working a 40-hour week before that?
cause they won't do it for less.
Very much.
Need bodies in those trucks, and if, we're what,
How many
eight guys
in the
short?
county that have CDLs?
Well, let's see. I'd have to have the list to read off, but, there's, I probably, 1, 2, 3, 8 or 9 do not have CDLs out of the 20,
We're how many short from what we used to be, 8 guys?
yeah.
We're 8 bodies down in the road and bridge department, we can't get anybody to take those jobs.
Right.
Really? Nobody wants it.
So
Nobody
there's
wants.
12 guys that have CDLs, and all 12 of those guys were already out working.
Yep. Graders, Jake being one of them,
I got a CDO, but I'm in a grader.
and
Right.
Danny Woodson, he's in the grader, he has CDL. Cecil Parker was in the grader, he has CDL. One grader operator does not have a CDL. North, truck drivers that were out, of course, all had CDLs. Jason and Ron, that we just mentioned about, is in trucks. And of course, Ron Senior and Jeff, they both have CDLs.
So who drives those trucks normally?
Just 3 truck drivers, all there is normally. And that's, Lucas, Justin, and Derek.
And this equipment gets a lot more complicated every year to run too.
Yeah, one thing nice about these two, that I don't even have to
Right,
follow them around, and, they know how to run the equipment, know what the
Yep.
procedure is. There's no babysitting them all day long, and they know where the roads are, and, yeah.
right,
Works out great.
so,
But it very seldom does it work out, because both of them have other jobs,
Right.
It happened to be that it was on New Year's and neither one of them was at their other jobs.
So how do we make it work when they're not available?
You just take a lot longer to get it done.
So it is possible to do it without having an actual extra part-time help paying them $24 an hour.
Yeah, you could be, but how long do you run your other guys?
I was flat exhausted.
Yeah, exactly, that's 15 hours straight, that's almost a double shift in itself, so you make them run 24 hours without any sleep.
My biggest question again was, as long as the other staff all got a chance for those hours, it doesn't matter to me then, but.
Yeah, I
if they
actually-
didn't, then then that's what
I actually had 2 of them on a pickup plow because they didn't either have a CDL. So I called
Right.
them in and, but none of the rest of them, there wasn't anything else for them to do. Where they don't have a CDL.
You made a motion, isn't it?
Right.
You seconded it, didn't you?
Okay, been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Carries.
Outside of that, I don't know whether it's got a whole lot other than just use a lot of salt and sand. We'll get restocked back up on that.
We got numbers?
Yeah.
Good.
I got 8 numbers left.
At least that is, at least that's not an issue this year like it's been
Not so
sometimes.
far, yeah. Yeah, I haven't called to see our time frame on getting it picked up.
Yeah.
I don't think they've been hit real hard yet out there,
Yeah.
but that can change pretty fast too, so.
Yeah.
Well,
The-
It can.
we're restocking the Carbondale shed there today.
Okay,
We'll finish remixing, fill up our sheds and everything. Of course, now they're, got a little chance Wednesday night and Thursday.
Mr. Hurt had a concern about the culvert out on Sixth Street.
Now,
Good.
first, before I get into that, I'm here also today from the people you brought out about the guys using their trucks, the blade. That's your question. Okay, good people contacted me and said they wanted to thank you and the county for doing that, because that was greatly needed in some of those areas. And they were really happy to see how good you guys did blading of the roads, okay? So I want you to see that they're really happy about that. Now, the issue on Sixth Street. What I'm here to ask you about this is at Adams. What involvement did the city get you involved in on that issue there with that big huge whistle being put under Sixth Street?
That's a connecting link.
Well, now-
Connecting link, we had 24 foot of responsibility on that.
Okay, were you involved with the city when they were putting it in?
We put it in.
Okay, now, tell me then, then why did you put the stuff on it the way you did? Tell me, because see, here's the thing. It was blocked off for a whole long time, and it was a hell of a deal to put in there. There's no doubt about that. And you did a
Mr.
good
Hurt,
job.
let him explain it.
Okay,
We had it blocked off for about almost 2 days.
right.
Yeah. They had other ways around, there's just a block north or a block south to get around.
Sure, I understand, we know that, okay, the people did. But it's the issue now, see, the way you put it in, okay, and you left it, okay, all right. Okay, then a snowstorm hit.
Yeah.
But before the snowstorm, you came back and dug it out and put that
Yeah.
3-inch rock in there. Wait a minute, you put that in there. Why didn't you or the city put up signs to slow down hitting that with their tires? There are people that got hit with that are gonna hit you guys when somebody's damaged, and I don't know whether it's gonna be the city or you, but it's a terrible mess now. Did you see it this morning?
Yeah.
The rock all piled out of there, and they did put some cones there. Thank God somebody did that. I think you need to put signs on both sides to slow down. At least put the hazard there, so those people know it. I'm sorry.
We fixed it this morning. It was dug out apparently by a grader, hit it. And he was not aware of it because he ordinarily works at landfill.
Yeah.
He hit that and dug some of it out, apparently Friday morning. And we fixed it this morning. It's been fixed. Why we dug some of that out, it was soft, so we had to get something firmer. And so we put some 1 3/4 rock in it in place of the AB3 that we originally had in it. So that's why we got the bigger rock that's on top of it there now.
Okay, so tell me the progress, so everybody gets to hear this on video and everything. What is the progress now, what you're gonna do with it to fix it completely?
When it gets settled out, we'll dig it down and put enough asphalt in it, put 6 inches of asphalt in it once it quits settling.
Okay, and how long a period of time do you think that'll take?
That's, no. We've got a lot of water that comes down the hard surface road that's hitting it and basically soaking into it right now. If we can get a dry stretch and where it get firmed up, get seasoned in, why, yeah, it could be a couple, 3 weeks. It's kinda hard to tell, whatever the
Well,
weather does.
like I said, I repeat, for the city or you to put signs on each side of slowing it down just beside cones, in my opinion. I know that's what Franklin County does, and I don't know why you didn't, because I know there's people that are really upset with this around my area there. So I just wanted to know, and thank you for your time on it, so.
It's fixed right now.
Okay.
We fixed the hole that was there
Okay.
this morning.
Okay, thank you.
And Glenn Shake was on the
Yeah.
agenda with you.
Yeah,
He
we
stepped
probably
out.
ought to do that for Tim. Jake?
He stepped out a second ago.
Oh,
Did he step back in?
Yeah, I'm here to talk to you guys today about a couple of intersections. I'm here representing Junction Township.
okay,
Sorry, I should start out with that.
right,
189th and Stubbs, we've had several calls since I've been on the board for the last 4 years.
right,
Pretty dangerous intersection. The guys there want stop signs, but don't know where to go from there. And another intersection is 229th and Stanley. There used to be some stop signs there, but apparently they were put up by a previous board member years ago, never even asked anybody, just
right,
threw some stop signs in the ground. Well, a while back, some kids went and tore the stop signs down. Well, I called in about them to the county. County said they weren't there, so
Right.
I did not put them back up.
okay,
But now I've got several concerned citizens that used to be stop signs there, and they would like to see. And
Right.
I've told them all about the traffic studies, and the
Right.
stop signs may not get put back the way they want them. The way I understand it, they don't care where the stop signs go. These two intersections are dangerous, and they would just like to see stop signs there, no matter where.
okay,
I'll move we approve the traffic studies for both those intersections.
Yeah, I drove by 189th and Croco,
Stubbs,
Stubbs,
189
Yeah.
and Stubbs.
189th and Stubbs. and
yeah,
It's just a wide open intersection.
right,
So I would second that.
People
okay,
come flying out of Franklin County into, through that intersection. People
Oh,
come
yeah.
flying down out of Michigan Valley through that intersection.
yes, I know. Familiar with that, so.
Yeah. The guy that lives right there, Todd McCain, he's been on me pretty hard for the last 4 years to.
He's called me a time or two, and
Right.
like I've always told him, it has to come through the township before the
Right.
township has to ask before the county can do it. And
I guess
you're
I'm here today
asking-
to ask you guys if you would consider.
You're here
Right.
asking, and my motion still
He made a
stands.
motion and
I second it.
it's been moved and seconded that we initiate traffic studies for those two intersections, so. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
You bet,
So-
good luck.
Well, I guess
Do we have any other intersections that,
we do, but we don't have any requests from any township
okay,
on them.
Bad precedent for the county to just do it without a township asking.
right,
And once township asks, I'm all for it in most
Okay.
cases, but
Glenn, is there any other words on that road closing?
Other than I talked to the other landowner and he indicated that they were willing to put up a gateway where they have it fenced off at, and they're waiting on a rock drill to be able to drill in to place a post to hang the gate off of.
and they were willing to give the other gentleman a key,
Yeah, they were willing
but,
to give the
Right.
one gentleman that was in
I'm not
there
sure
a
that's
key
pleased the other
For
gentleman
them
yet, but.
to use the gate, but, yeah, that's still, they haven't done anything for us putting the gate up yet, no. But they both indicated that they would.
Did you, get the right of way stuff settled with the guys on the road?
Yes. I have verbal, I don't have it written yet, but that was last, Wednesday, that, we did, get a verbal on the, west side. So we do have.
okay,
But again, I don't have it back in
Right.
writing yet. That was Wednesday.
okay.
I just had a quick question. Was there one or two of the individuals that were hired in Road and Bridge that you guys, I missed part of what you guys were talking about? The two individuals?
Just one,
We just hired one.
Just one?
One.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
and he wasn't, it was just a temporary hiring, so.
Is there two total, is that what it is?
Yes.
How long was it, when was the other one hired?
He's been off and on for
Oh,
years since he
2,
left
3
us
years.
full time.
2 or 3 years ago, or even maybe 4, I don't know.
I'd have to pull,
Yeah.
So it's a part-time employee or just a seasonal?
Part-time. Part-time temporary is the classification.
It's an on-call employee, but you call them a part-time,
For bookwork purposes.
This says temporary or seasonal, which is separate from part-time. I just happened to be reading the guidebook that.
Yeah.
she
They're
just
not
gave me.
seasonal because they're just on-call temporary
well,
because
they
have
are
the-
seasonal because it's just for the
well, yeah,
Sure.
snow
winter
season,
season, but
Yeah.
Seasonal is that 1,000 hour
There's
deal.
no-
I always
right,
thought.
but they're
Yeah,
not
and
gonna-
They're not
I
getting
mean,
those
they're
1,000 hours.
gonna probably have less than 20 hours a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't have anything
okay.
more.
Well, Dave Atterbury and
Yeah, I
Scott,
wanna stick around.
Yeah, I
for
know,
that
we-
one.
so they should be here.
Jack did have some.
Okay, Mr. Hobbs,
Morning. I'm just checking in on the request that we made for salaries in the office a couple of weeks ago. Didn't know if you're ready to make a decision or you need more time to consider.
I'll make a motion that we approve Jack's request with the proviso that for 21, his diversion fund covers the difference between budgeted amount and what his request is.
Yeah, I've thought about this week, and it just, the salaries that we were paying is almost embarrassing. But Jack's been really good with his diversion funds of
Yeah, it's been.
helping out the sheriff's department and other departments, and now he's requesting that it helps out his department, so I would second that motion.
okay, been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries,
Thank you very much.
okay,
Very appreciated, it really is.
okay.
I'll get blue sheets done on those for you to sign off.
Right,
Cause I assume he didn't have them.
I don't suppose he
I
did.
didn't know he needed them.
I didn't know he did.
I'm almost done with the lease purchase.
Okay.
I gotta get, I'll have to get.
I'm gonna go see if Miranda can take care of it.
Okay,
To fill in the proper amounts, but I can email you the one with the blanks on it, so it looks all right.
Yeah, that'd be great. We got a meeting next, Monday evening.
I'll try to get to you this week.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And then, I don't know I can't remember if you told me the bank contact person, because they're gonna need.
I don't have it right off.
If you can snag that, cause I'll have to get
Who
them.
is the loan officer over at First Security?
Samuel Scott,
No, that's not the name.
probably, Needham,
No,
Sky out Paola, I don't know what his name is.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you
I can get it to
see
you.
if you can get me something, cause I gotta email them to get put in those numbers on how much interest this year and the next, you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll get to that, but
Okay.
no, it's not neither one of those things.
Yeah, I know, there's another gentleman that generally is at Paola office, and, it would be him, and I've met him a couple times, but I don't know him well.
Okay.
Yeah, I can find out.
Yeah, I'll have it. I'll have it here waiting on me.
No problem.
Thanks for your explanation.
You bet.
Did you need all those numbers on the county attorney? They're in that.
Well, we just sent them down. I mean, I guess I could have filled them out for him.
But there's where they are, in there.
Dean is already down there, so as soon as
Okay.
they don't know how to fill them out, they'll come back up and I'll fill them out. I just thought they could do that.
Guy Cruises booked. I know some people still do that, some people got an Alaska one for later this summer that they think they're still going on. I don't know. You got piles of refund money hanging, don't you, somewhere? Hope that company don't go broke,
That's exactly what I've been thinking.
because a lot of them are suffering pretty hard.
What's that from?
On a cruise ship.
Oh, yeah.
They say you can go be a tourist and go to parts of Florida and take a boat trip around all the docked cruise ships that are just sitting out there. That's
Probably.
becoming a
Yeah.
excursion. Cause there's 20, 30 of them anchored off there with just sitting there
Yeah, that'd be fun, wouldn't
to look at them.
it? Drive around on a boat and look at them.
Well, we bought travel insurance for the first time, for the
That's-
one we're going on in August, so,
Yeah, it's a good idea, I think.
you
A
know.
cruise?
No, we're
Just a
going
trip.
to Europe, but usually I don't buy travel insurance.
Yeah, I have different times. I've never had to use it.
Well,
We
yeah,
did when we went to Alaska.
yeah,
I've known people that have used it though.
I got a friend that had a safari in Africa,
Mhm.
and he had a health issue and he couldn't go, doctor's orders, and they paid off. But
Yeah.
It was a lot of money.
oh, yes,
My in-laws had one, and he just got sick and died, and they had one they already paid for. And
right,
it was a good thing on that one. They were going to Europe on a river cruise in Europe several years ago.
I've heard some people got on those river cruises and really liked them.
I have too.
My uncle went to Russia on one.
Yeah.
I was looking in one of them European river cruises, but they do the same thing as a cruise ship. All day long, they park in town, and then at night is when I wanna see the
nightlife.
riverbank and stuff,
Yeah.
you know, and see what's going on in the countryside, and I don't wanna be trapped in a tourist thing.
Mr. Atterbury?
Yes, Mr. Atterbury,
Scott coming?
No, Scott is not coming, we're gonna call him.
Oh,
And
Oh,
give
okay.
me just a second, I will get that accomplished.
morning, sir. How are you?
Morning, good.
Hi.
Can I pull up here?
yes, please do,
Wherever you're comfy.
yes.
Thank you. I apologize a few minutes late.
Hey,
That
that's-
roundabout tripped me up.
Yeah.
I go through, the next thing I see is Osage City, and I'm like, oh, no, this is not where I want to be.
Yeah.
Too far around the circle.
So,
You getting Scott online?
I'm attempting to do that,
Get this out of your way.
sorry. That sounds better, I think I hit the wrong number. Hi Scott, this is Rhonda, are you available now? Okay. Yeah, I think when I set down the phone, the static will go off, hold on just a second, okay? Light, come on, yes. Are you still there, Scott?
I am here.
Okay.
Good morning.
good morning,
You want me to just kind of
yes,
go with what I got here? Okay.
okay,
First of all, I apologize, I only got a couple of business
That's-
cards here. My name is David Arterbury. I'm with Stiefel Nicholas. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. What I wanted to talk to you about was a couple of items related to bonds. Scott and I talked a couple of weeks ago about a road project that you all have.
Right.
About a $740,000 project, and he was asking whether or not it would be possible to issue bonds for the project. So that was one thing that I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is, if you would want to issue debt, bonds for the project, what might that look like in terms of your payment, and maybe the process that you would go through to issue the bonds. And then the other thing though, in the course of preparing for the meeting, I noticed that the county also has an outstanding bond issue that was done, I believe, back in 2012, that was sold at a time where interest rates were higher than they're at now. And so I also looked at the possibility of refinancing that bond issue. So I've got some handouts here, and there's a lot of numbers on these handouts. I'll try to keep it, I'm not gonna get buried in the numbers, hopefully, but as I'm going through it, if you got any questions at all, just chime in, because, you know, bonds aren't something that a lot of counties issue that often, so I realize it might be something that you might not be entirely familiar with, especially if you weren't here when the county did their last issue. But here's the first handout. And this looks at the, specifically the, if you were to issue bonds for your road project. And what I've tried to do here is to show you, okay, if you were to sell bonds for the project, and if you were to sell bonds at different amounts, what would approximately the payment be on those bonds, and what would that impact then be on property taxes? So just to kind of give you an example, let's, if you look at, let's say that a 10-year bond issue. If you wanted to do a 10-year bond issue for the project, if you look at the middle section of the page there, what you see is, when you kind of go down these rows, these columns of numbers, you'll see, first of all, project cost on the left side. As I understand it, that's the cost of your road project. In the first row, let's assume here that the county does not contribute any of your own funds to the project, that you borrow the full amount of the project, and fund it entirely with bonds. There would be about, issuing bonds would cost about $19,500 or so, a little under $20,000. So your total bond issue size would be about $761,000. I estimated, and this is a pretty conservative, a high number, that the interest rate on those bonds would be about 2%. That would result in a payment each year for 10 years of about $84,724. If you were to, levy property taxes for that payment, that mill levy would be about 0.552. Or another way to look at it is if you've got a home that costs $100,000, it's appraised at $100,000, that would be about $6.34 per year for that home. If you kind of move down on the next row there, what it looks at is, well, what if the county were to take $100,000 out of its reserves and use that to reduce the size of the bond issue? You see the bond issue size falls to $661,000. The payment falls to about $73,591, and the mill levy to about 0.479. Does that all make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And so then you can just look at, okay, well, what if we did a 5-year bond issue? And you can kind of look at those same scenarios. Or what if you did a 15-year bond issue? And so this is what this chart attempts to look at is, okay, what's the impact? What would the impact be if we were to borrow money for the project?
The existing one you mentioned, how much is it?
Okay, if we,
That we
yeah,
refinance?
I got another handout here, we can look at that. Yeah. If you look at, again, there's a lot of numbers on here, but if you flip over to page 1, not the table of contents, but it says page number 1 kind of in the right-hand corner. This is the outstanding balance of your 2012 bond issue. There's $2,820,000 of the bonds outstanding, and they have an average interest rate on it, kind of highlighted down there in yellow, of 2.259. Now, if you'd asked me a while back if I thought you'd ever be able to refinance a bond issue that had an interest rate of 2.259% on it, I'd say no way. But rates have dropped so far that if you look on the next page here, this is what I would think, given your rating that you have, a new refinancing bond issue could look like.
Does the county still have that rating? Would we have to be re-rated, wouldn't we?
Yeah, you'd have to go through the rating process again. So there's no guarantee that you'd maintain that rating.
Right.
Yeah. The rating process is not that simple, is it?
It's not that difficult. Usually what we do is,
I was here when we did it the last time,
okay,
and, I don't recall it being all that easy, Rhonda, do you? Rhonda and I had, but we
Okay.
did it.
Well, usually what we do, and I don't know who you worked with previously, but we usually, I think, do what I think is a good job of preparing an issuer for rating call. Before we have a rating call, what we usually do is we'll come out and we'll sit down, and the rating agency will have given us a list of questions. And before the call, we'll go through each of those questions and make sure you kind of understand.
Right.
how they're
Sounds
going.
better than what we did.
Okay. And then we usually have that call, we usually have that meeting 2 or 3 days before the actual call with the analyst. So then when you go into the rating call with the analyst, you're usually fully prepared. And what we'll also do in advance of the rating call is we'll look at some of the sort of the key factors that the rating agencies look at. Things like your fund balances, your assessed valuation growth, and we'll help you to kind of look at and see what the analysts might be kind of looking at. So I think we'd have an idea going into the call, what the analysts, we anticipate them to be looking
Right.
at, so. So on page 2 there, you see what the new bond issue would look like. And even including all of the expenses, the borrowing cost is about 1.55%. So about 3/4 of a percentage point lower than the current interest rate on the bonds. And then on the next page, you see kind of the savings. Estimate you'd save over the life of the issue about $127,000. Again, this is an estimate based on current interest rates.
Right.
And that's if you could hold that AA.
Right, yeah.
Right.
If your rating went down, yeah, you wouldn't save as much, yeah.
But you might hold it, who knows?
Yeah.
You might improve it, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the key thing in a lot of these ratings, quite frankly, what do they say about real estate? Location, it's fund balances. And you'd have to look
Right.
to see what's happened to your fund balances since you got the rating. I think that'd give you a good indication.
Right,
Which are all right now, not that bad, so.
right.
So that was sort of the other piece that I looked at was, okay, well, what if you were to refinance? And of course, you could, if you wanted to, combine these and do a single bond issue that both refinance the old bonds as well as borrow for the new project. So these are kind of two separate issues, but if you wanted to do them both, you could combine them.
Is there any advantage or disadvantage of combining the two?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of advantages. First of all, this first issue is a small issue. And I think the best way to sell this issue, if you were just to sell it by itself, would be to go through a private placement, where you solicit interest from area banks to purchase the bonds directly from the county. If you do that, the interest rate that you would get would be a nice low rate, but it wouldn't be quite as good of a rate as you could get if you were to do the bond issue with a rating. There's some efficiencies of doing it, selling to the local banks. There's fewer costs, but the interest rate wouldn't be as low. So that was one thing, is if you combine them, you could get, I think, a little bit lower rate than if you were just to do the small issue by itself. And then the other thing is there would be some efficiencies of scale, some issuance cost savings, because you would be doing a single bond issue. And you wouldn't have to be paying the state treasurer twice, bond attorneys twice, so there'd be some
Right.
efficiencies there also by combining them.
County's done some of those over the years with local banks. That's how they did this, the big remodel on the courthouse
You know what?
years ago.
I think, I actually think I was here to talk
I
to you
think
about
you
that,
were.
yeah.
Well, that was right when it got done, right when I was starting 12 years ago, but it worked fine and is all gone and paid off. I don't know if you could get enough local banks to, if they, depends how much money they got laying around. At what time, and they all like to go together and do it together like they did on the courthouse. There was, I think, how many different banks?
I think
Bunch
it was
of them,
6 or
six.
7, yeah.
I think it was 6 of the local ones went together to do that.
Oh,
one.
did, okay.
It wasn't just like one of them. They all went
Right.
together and combined and did it. So.
Yeah, yeah, and they could do something like that. Now,
But you don't think they would give as good an interest rate as going out through the bond process?
I think, if you were to do this issue, the smaller issue, all by itself without the refinancing.
They might.
It might, when you
Yeah.
take it, factor in issuance costs but if you were to combine it with the new issue, I don't think the local banks would give you.
In
quite as-
12, when we did that bridge bond, which worked out very well, and it was perfect time to do it, and we never thought we'd get a better interest rate than that, which like you say, you can now, which is surprising.
Right.
But we got, all the contractors were hungry. We did 19 bridges instead of the 13 we thought we were gonna get out of it, so it worked just fabulous. I don't know, so that has been very, very successful, but, I'm not sure. I won't be here to do it, so I don't care. I mean, it's not really, won't be my decision, so, but it's always a good idea to save money every time you can, if you can knock
Right.
0.5% off of that.
I assume you know your rating, your bond rating before you pull the trigger on this.
Yeah, you would.
You don't make the decision and then they come along and tell you what the payments are gonna be.
Well, typically the way this would work is there's sort of a three-step process when issuing the bonds. The first step is kind of what we're doing now, is just talking generally about the issue and you deciding, okay, well, yeah, we'll move forward, but not committing to anything at that point. So that's the first step. The second step then is to pass what we call a sale, or sometimes a go-to-market resolution. It's just a resolution where you say, we would come back and we would update you on the interest rates, and you'd say, yes, we want to proceed with that issue. And usually within that resolution, there'd also be a section that said, provided that we can save X amount of dollars. Sort of a parameters resolution. And once that resolution is passed, then we would do the things like we'd go get the rating, the offering document would be finalized, and then we would go market the bonds and set the interest rate. Now, if something happened after you passed that parameters resolution, interest rates went up and we couldn't get the savings that you wanted, then we would just put everything on hold and wouldn't market the bonds. We'd come back and report to you that that's what happened, but then after that marketing of the bonds, assuming that it's successful and we were able to get the level of savings you wanted, then we'd come back for the third and final step, which is where you adopt a bond resolution that locks in the interest rates and establishes, just officially issues the bonds.
But before that third step, you'd have an opportunity to scrap the whole thing.
Yeah, if the savings disappeared, then we'd scrap the whole thing, yeah. So I guess to the extent that there's a decision here, it would kind of be, I guess, two pieces. Would you want to proceed with bonds for the road project? Or would you want to proceed with something that did both? Or I guess just the refinancing, so
Right.
there's three
Okay.
options.
This is Scott.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay. The reason Dave and I talked about this, and even one step further, which he didn't prepare anything with, but you look at this and you think, okay, like he said, the smaller the bond issue, the more fees you pay sometimes, and so if you combine them, and when I saw that you could save $127,000, that's almost $1 million.
Yeah.
And we're in a tax lid environment still, and I was thinking, boy, that would put another $127,000 in the county coffers with a savings. And one step further, we didn't put any numbers together on, but I know there's several, and Glenn may be sitting there too, I'm not sure, but how many fracture critical bridges? That's even one step further. I was telling David, is there a way to even do that? I know we're on a short time frame with the two commissioners going off here, but that's just another package part, because I know that one bridge you've talked about a lot, the railroad bridge that got burnt, and I don't know what it was. It was around $1 million to replace it, and I don't know if maybe you have no plans of replacing it. So, David, I've explained a lot of those other things to David, more than just these two here. So it's just some things I wanted to get before you and get you thinking about, because we had, I know at the bank, where I'm the chairman of the board there, the rates are so low right now. We can't even buy a bond for literally anything. And I think, David, what you tell me that BPU's first bond was 0.17. I think that's what maybe showed here on this one rating here you showed the savings. That's amazing. I just 0.17 on the first year, I think, was on the big issue that BPU put through. So anyway, we don't want to take a lot of your time. We were just trying to say, this is a way to finance this, maybe, and save some money on the old bonds. And if you look at that first handout, and then I'll shut up, but David had given you those examples of the contribution from the county. And David and I talked about this quite a bit, and we all have talked about this when we do budget, but I hate to spend too much of the money's cash carryovers because we're still under the tax lid and we don't know for sure how much longer that's going to wait. So that would be another savings of if we could borrow the money at a lower rate and not have to use up the county coffers, and only, like here in this one here, I think the 15-year bond was literally 0.393, less than $500,000 to just do that one little bond issue, and then you could look at the rolling and the other. So I don't know. This is a lot to think about, but it looks like it's some good stuff that would accomplish what you're trying to accomplish.
Mr. Bailey.
I got a question. If we combine the bonds, because right now the bond that's in there right now has a mill levy attached to it. Will that change the mill levy from what it is on the sheet? Because now you're gonna have this cost savings, that's gonna lower that. Will that change all the mill levies that you collect?
Yeah, because the mill levies here just assume that this bond issue is done all by itself and there's no refinancing of the old bond. So if you refinance the old bonds, these mill levies would be reduced by the amount of savings that you would get from refinancing.
And it would go down because the other costs would drop, so the mill levy may become irrelevant then.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're not gonna, well, I guess it depends on which scenario you look at, but I don't think the savings from the refinancing is entirely going to pay for the new issue, but it will take, at least take some of the edge off, so to speak.
But it'll lower the cost of that first bond, right? Because the interest rate's gonna drop.
Right.
But that's already included. The number on the back is including that savings from both bonds?
No, the number on page 3 here is just the savings for refinancing the 2012 bonds.
Okay.
If you did this refinancing at the same time you did the new money, the mill levy impacts on, the new, would be a little less, yeah. Yeah, if that makes sense. And as Scott was mentioning, these numbers, particularly this first sheet, is just looking at, the one road project that, the 741,000. If there were other projects that you wanted to include, you could also do that too. And these numbers, but these numbers really don't address that.
Right. Well, Scott, you know our financial situation pretty well. What would be your recommendation?
Well, if you're gonna do the road project, I personally don't think you have the cash to pull it off.
Okay,
And even if you did have the cash to pull it off, it'd scare me a little bit because we're in the tax lid, to use up that much cash carryover.
right,
So from that standpoint, just that alone, if you look at one chart, I mean, 15 years, people don't like to go sometimes past 10 or 15, but that rate, you're not going to probably find a lower rate. I mean, I said that a year ago.
yeah,
It keeps going down, but it's pretty favorable for that. And if we could roll it into the refinancing, that saves you $1 million over time, which it's kind of like at home. If we can save this amount or that amount in little pieces like that, it's good for the county. And I think you as commissioners have always tried to do that.
yes,
To save money here or save money there. And to me, it would be to package them together and save that $127,000, which is about 0.75 or 0.8 mils, something like that. I'm the auditor, so I can't really tell you what to do.
right,
But I'm just telling you that to me, it looks like a pretty favorable situation. You get your road done, and you save $127,000 on the other bond issue you already have in place. And what you were talking about earlier there, if there's any savings on the bond and interest, that you're saving there on the bridge, it would go back into the calculations, because that's the way you do it on a budget now. There's not really it'd go back in, and so let's just say you saved in 1 year, you saved $10,000 on the bond issue. That $10,000 could be used in the general fund or other places to help. So that's how you would recognize that $127,000. Each year you would have so much savings, and you would just use it in other places and not have to use it on bonds. And then over the term of that 8-10 years, you would save that $127,000. So it would just be reallocated to another levy in your budget.
right,
Does that make sense?
yes,
Yeah.
I would just add one other thing about fund balances and using your existing fund balances to pay for project costs. As Scott mentioned, the tax lid issue. I guess the other thing I would say here is, like, getting back to the rating, if you were to use a bunch of your reserves to buy down the new money, the new borrowing, if you were to then proceed with a refinancing at the same time or do some other borrowing in the future, those lower fund balances are going to work against your rating. So I understand the desire to reduce debt, but from the rating perspective, keeping your fund balances up is probably.
It's gonna increase the interest rate.
yeah, right,
You have to have cash,
Yeah.
have some cash on hand or nobody
Yeah.
likes it.
Well, I think this is a good first step, and so
yes,
needs more thought.
right,
I think it needs to be explored more
Right.
myself, and it's always a good idea to save money every chance you can and lower the interest rate, so that's just my 2 cents, so.
I agree.
okay.
So do you want me to proceed with what, the next step typically would be to put together a calendar for a bond issue. And then, you know, that, the next step would then be to come back at a future meeting with that second, that resolution, the go-to-market, the sale resolution. Do you want me to do that now, or do you want to discuss it further before?
It's gonna be a different commission in a week,
Okay,
so I think we
Yeah.
probably ought to wait.
and revisit with them?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Well, should I coordinate through you, Rhonda? to-
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Well, it's good information, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Sure. Sure. It's nice to be here again.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
good to see you.
You still have Scott on the phone.
Are you awake, Scott?
I'm awake. I'm ready to go. So you just tell me when you want me back on, or whoever will be up in the next meeting. David, I just wanted to get those numbers before you because I think it's good to always be looking ahead, even if you are going out of office. It's a great opportunity here to keep looking ahead for the county and see how we can save money and maybe, you know, and the new commission may want to look at adding some more fracture critical bridges to it too. So that, I mean, I understand
Right.
your situation. So anyway, you just let me know. I'll be glad to jump on anytime or come up and visit.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, wish you all well, and you all have a great 2021.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think Garrett is here, and then I have these payroll things when you. finish
Right.
with him. Okay.
Okay. Garrett,
Good morning.
Morning, everyone.
Hello.
good morning.
Kind of back to where we were last week, not much changed.
Right.
Just, I was able to, with the help of Child Care Aware in Riva Wallace, out of Topeka, identify all the child care providers in the county that wish to take part in there, and have kind of broken out a spreadsheet there to see how it might pan out if we want to use what looks like about $73,409 remaining. And I've done two.
And you had some formula per child then, I'm assuming?
Well, yeah, if you look on the right side, there are license capacity and current enrollment. If the split is equitable between either license capacity or current enrollment, that's how that number plays out there. If it's license capacity, it would be $233.78 per, I guess you would say licensee or child that they could have. If it's current enrollment, it would be $303.34 per child currently enrolled. The largest there being the Little Stepchild Center in Carbondale. I think everybody's aware that that's the
Right.
largest facility in the county. I think as far as trying to figure out a different formula of how to spend the money, those are the two suggestions that have come to me. The Child Care Aware, we talked a little bit about it, and she didn't have much other suggestions as far as how you might split up that money.
I know some other counties did it kind of by child or some on the license.
Right.
So this, I don't think is.
be the only fair way to do it.
Yeah.
What's, we had a bigger number than what we're showing here. Did some not apply, or what's the deal?
Well, we had, yeah, pretty much, we had total childcare that were on the list, and so some of them, we sent out a memorandum of understanding W-9s and asked them to apply if they would like to take part in the program. And so you can kind of see the lines on the side there where I hid those. So between 5 and 7, 6 didn't, between 7 and 8, there's.
That's it.
Oh, they didn't all apply, you mean,
not-
Right.
Yeah. they-
out
not
of
all
this
them-
list even.
Yeah, not all of them came back and said that they would, either they were going out, they didn't have any children.
Right.
I think there were a couple that just maybe weren't interested, but others there were a couple that planned to close their doors.
Right, okay. Even though they had an active license, they might
Even
have
though they had an
decided
active
not to,
license.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Tudor,
Did they submit the same applications and then have some questions about like percentage of growth in income and in comparison to previous years and things like that?
No, they didn't. We just did it, had a week to put it together last week, and so we had help with the child care aware. Topeka sent a notification of what the circumstances were and had them respond. So it wasn't the same business application as far as loss of revenue. It was just mostly an email that said, you know, that money may be available to assist child care providers, and also with the W-9 and the memorandum of acceptance, basically saying they wouldn't duplicate benefits, but they did not submit us an application.
Yeah. So all of these on this list have said they're interested and they're going to stay in business, and they've got the W-9s or whatever.
Yes, not only that, they have responded with the documents.
They've got all the documents. The ones
Right.
on this list have submitted all the documents necessary.
Did that, center in Carbondale receive economic development money also, and is that a problem?
It's not a problem. We would have them sign the memorandum of understanding saying that they would not basically duplicate benefits. If they paid payroll, or if they used something, they wouldn't use this money to pay payroll, but that's sort of, we've gone so many months down the road now, if they would have received any other thing, they would have used it then, and they would be able to catch up. Now, since we've had an extension of the CARES Act, they'll be able to use it in the future as well. So we're not sort of under the deadline as far as spending that money now.
Yeah, but
right,
It gives them
we had all, I mean, I talked to several of these on here, and they were anticipating it and needing it, so. Some of
Can I
them.
ask a question? I am not at all against any of these individuals getting them. Previous businesses that applied for this, that it took 3 to 4 months to approve things and then get them paid, and they had to show that they had an actual loss. And then you're able to do this in a week or two, and you're not asking these individuals to show that they had a loss. I would think that would cause some issues with some of the individuals who, you know, requested a certain amount of money, showed why they needed it, and were, you know, maybe awarded maybe a half or quarter of it. And I'm not against these individuals getting this at all, by any means. The process of this and everybody, other businesses, seems completely opposite. I mean, you had people here for weeks on end asking, how can I apply? What do you need from me? And you kept saying, well, it's so hard to get information from businesses. And then in a week or two, you've awarded all this money without even seeing if they actually had a revenue loss.
Is that a question directly to me, or should you want me? So in that economic development program, we were in the council, or we were in the committee, and we were here, and we decided that we were gonna roll out that program today. And I sat here with the committee and with Rhonda, and we submitted that application and the notification to the Osage County Bureau Chronicle that Monday to roll out that application that we could put together in an hour or two. And then we convened a committee that rated them.
Are you talking about the CARES Act committee?
Yeah, we gave them, 3 different, they met once and then they met again to make the awards, and then they met again to make the subsequent awards. And we did that all so that we could put a committee together, we could make them do that and have a process that would pass the audit. Now, in the last couple of weeks, the CARES Recovery Office have been giving us some guidance on how to maybe make use of some of the money that was left over. And so they have been making suggestions to go back to businesses, to do whatever we want. So the way that we've done things, we possibly could have done it that way in the first round. We could have sent an email to every business and got a list and made an award here at this table. But this is at the end of the committee, so if we want to, I believe this is gonna stand up to audit. I've checked in with the recovery office. They've given kind of a thumbs up the way we've done business. Everybody in the county know there's been a selection process. We've given them the ability to respond. And so, you're right, we are at the end, and we have done things a little quicker.
Does anybody know why these guys didn't apply during the river part of it?
No, I don't know.
Well, I'm sure they're impacted.
Well,
Oh,
right,
yeah. I've talked to, I mean, the ones that I've called me, they were,
a lot of daycare kind of think of themselves as not a true business, I guess,
I don't know.
you know. When they actually are, because they have to be licensed and they have to do certain things, but, you know, and there's,
Certainly a lot of them were impacted as much
Right.
as
oh,
anybody
yes, I
else.
know several of them,
Yeah.
and, so,
You know, so far, we've been able to roll out $1,135,874 to small businesses in the county, in roughly short manner, I think, so.
Yeah, in a short amount of time, basically.
and of the 103 counties that got the CARES money the way we did, everybody spent it differently, I'm sure, so.
Everybody did, yeah.
I mean, there's probably some common things, but still, it was,
A lot of counties didn't do near as much for business
we did
percentage
way
wise
more
as
than
we
most
did.
of them.
And everyone I've talked to, and I mean, some of them had, some of our neighbors, Lyon County, sure didn't
Right.
spend near the percentage that we did on businesses.
Yeah, they did 816,000.
Something like that. But they got 7-some million to start with,
7.6.
instead of the 3-something that we
Right,
did.
so,
I'm happy with how this looks and works. Are you all right with it, Galen?
Yeah,
And it will conclude our CARES
if
Act.
we get back to work here, we're certainly gonna need.
is this
daycare.
zero out to CARES money then?
It should zero out the CARES money, and we're still on this, I believe there's a possibility Carbondale might give us $2,700 back, but I won't know until this afternoon.
I'm
Sorry.
comfortable with this.
We're not able to cut these checks though for about 2 weeks because we have to year end and then
Right.
start over, and it's just, I mean, we've done part of the process with the treasurer's office, that we have to get together, and it's just gonna be, I mean, it's not something I can cut to next week.
We have an extension and.
Okay.
with the
All right.
CARES
I just wanna
Act,
make sure the
so
daycares understand that we'll get them out as soon as we can, but we have to complete all the,
And they have to submit, but they've submitted all the W-9s and everything.
They have been doing so, I have
Okay.
them on file, and they've been copying the county, but I'll organize. them.
yeah, when we get to the end, if you'll just give us the copies of all of them.
Right. I move we approve the payout to all the licensed daycare centers that apply on this sheet.
I think it's important, and I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded, we approve the daycares, all
Aye.
in favor? Aye,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you, Garrett.
You're welcome, gentlemen.
Good luck.
I know there was some concern raised about giving money to townships for gravel. I cannot justify in my mind why gravel would be related to the COVID,
You know, I've been having,
you know.
Zoom meetings with the recovery office representatives that sort of oversee our technical guidance
Right.
counselors, basically call them, and I brought that up with them, and the answer was, the quote was, "I'm not seeing the nexus to COVID."
Right.
yet." And so that's not exactly, when we go directly to our guidance, and when they say, "I'm not seeing it," then, you know, we kind of move on and try to find something else.
And I looked at it, well, okay, if we gave $20,000 to townships, we got 16 townships.
Not very
You
much.
know, that would basically buy 2 big loads of gravel. And if they've got 80 miles of road on average, that would cover about 1,000 feet of road.
It's not my experience that
You know.
any other county has used CARES Act money
Right,
for
so-
for gravel roads.
So we try and help them out as much as we can with other things, but I just have a problem with using this money for that, so. But, okay, well, we thank you, Garrett,
Thank
for
you,
your
Garrett.
time and effort, and,
Pleasure, thank you so much.
okay.
Here's the sheet for the county attorney's office.
Rhonda, can I get a copy of that sheet?
The daycare sheet,
You betcha.
yes, if you'll,
You bet.
can you give,
Here, I'll just go.
well, it'll just take me 2 seconds if you'll just let me get them.
That's fine,
Okay.
that's no problem.
Do we need another motion for those, or was my earlier
Well-
motion all you needed?
Do you think maybe a motion to sign the payroll sheets?
I move we direct the chairman to sign off on the payroll sheets for the raises in the county attorney's office.
Are you gonna state the hourly rates or?
Can, or you can put it
Okay.
in there, I don't have it in front of me, so I
Okay.
can't put it in my motion, but yes, you can state them.
Angela Smith, $14.75 an hour. Jack Hobbs, $35.40 an hour. Wendy Hogan, $17 an hour. And Rebecca Manning, $18 an hour.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
While you sign this, I'm gonna zap a copy of this real quick.
Anything else?
Oh, not yet. That bond thing, does that have to go up for a bond vote, or?
Never did before.
Okay, that's, I didn't,
Some do, but I don't think that one does.
Yeah, I don't,
that's what I was questioning.
on
was-
bridges and stuff, not, and if it's under the, there's a term. Pat,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay,
But there, I mean, it's not one of those ones that have to have a vote of the public,
okay.
I don't believe.
Okay, that's what I was concerned about, whether that we would have to go through a bond election or not. I didn't know what the requirement was. How do we, ask the local banks if they're interested in
Yeah, that worked well last time.
if they would be interested in
They had
doing a local bond, I guess.
Linden State Bank was the lead bank in that. and
Yeah.
We, all the rest of us shared in it.
Just put out feelers to different bankers
Okay,
and ask them, is how that worked.
They'll market the whole thing. I mean,
well,
That's, you know,
but if we keep it in county too, it can, you know.
Right.
it's always
And-
better to keep Southern County, but it might be a larger amount than what they wanted. But,
Right.
Cause, the one time, it's, who knows?
It was all sold to one bank and then they participated.
Right, I understand that,
You had a
So-
lead bank.
Yes,
Who
right.
then sold it to the other banks
Right.
that
Right.
wanted to participate, but
they all agreed prior to how much
yeah,
they
they,
paid.
Yeah,
Well, that was important because you don't wanna.
yes, right.
you don't wanna,
So everyone
load
got their
one bank up
percentage
with it then
and,
they
you
can't
know,
get rid
yes,
of it.
okay.
Yeah, it worked well.
Do you have anything else, Rhonda?
I guess not. I think that one, situation that we talked about, Pat, has never been made as a motion. Do you think we should do a 5-minute executive session to discuss it, or just let it drop now
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
to discuss it?
It's a non-elected personnel matter. It won't take more than 5 minutes to
Okay.
discuss, but
I move we go to executive session for non-elected personnel. Do you need to be here, Rhonda?
Probably if I could be, to
Yes,
explain the situation.
with Rhonda and the attorney present, and it is
I have 10:50.
10:51 is what my
10:51.
notoriously poor
Okay.
electronic clock